Good sis.
Should we start with a song?
Yeah, do you know this one? 'Cause friends are friends forever.
Forever.
If the Lord's the Lord of them.
Of them.
And a friend will not say never.
Never.
'Cause a welcome will not end. No, it's hard to let you go. In the Father's hands we know that a lifetime's not too long to live as friends.
Yeah, Steve, what'd you think about that, dude? Was that pretty good for a first-timer?
Gross.
Dang it.
Dude, that's throwback to Amy Grant's Christian days right there.
That was pretty good.
Amy Grant, dude, what a babe.
What a babe, dude. I don't know what she looks like.
Yeah.
So Amy Grant, she sings, what else did she sing? Pave paradise and put up a parking lot. I mean, she covered
Cover,
it.
yeah, the cover.
Who originally did that? Was it,
That sounds like a Tracy
We should
Chapman
know.
jam or something.
No.
will you look that up, Steve?
Yeah.
Can you
Try
look
to
stuff
figure
up
that
while
out.
you're over there?
I'm
Does
more
that
mad
work?
at myself that I don't know right off the mic.
Steve, do you have access to just like checking stuff out over there? Like,
Yeah.
do you have, is it like quick access though? Like where you can kind of just like
Joni
fact check
Mitchell.
things and
Right. I thought, yeah, it was Joni Mitchell.
nice.
I
Way to
didn't
go,
have I
Joan.
didn't have to look that one up.
Run on my parking lot. Remember when we used to play
A little bit of neck bass.
the deep bass?
Me and Julian, me and Jules, we have a video of this, Steve. We squared off in a Holiday Inn for like an hour and a half just
so
doing neck bass volleys.
Oh, but I wasn't there.
I know you weren't,
Yeah,
dude.
well, you'd crush it, dude.
You'd
'cause
crush
you
it.
are
You're a
the
bass player. We don't stand a chance against your neck bass ability. Although
Well,
you don't have a neck.
Can you zoom in on yourself really quick?
That's
and show
the
us
one thing that we.
show us your drumming abilities, dude. Can you give us one of those? Yeah, Steve.
That's my kungas.
That's some bongo action right there, dude. You can fucking crush it on those damn things, dude.
Oh, mercy, dude.
Nice.
So talk to me, guys. What? I'll start with you, Steve. Your week been good?
It's been great. I've been with you every day.
Every single day, Monday through Wednesday, we've been hanging out. Monday was a good. We had a good podcast with my wife, with the wife.
That was cool, man. That was really fun.
But we're back to center now. Just us three hombres in the studio together.
Dangerous recipe.
Oh, dude.
Do you think so?
We're like
no chaperones, no supervisions.
I know.
Like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Sade.
Sade.
Racking me up.
Throwing a smooth criminal, dude. Sade. Smooth criminal. I think. No. Was that?
Yeah, that was Joni Mitchell too, right?
Sounds like it.
Probably.
Sounds like it. Oh, so we're back to the We Three Kings here.
Yeah, I think it's a cool idea. I think it's kind of fun to be able to just compartmentalize our guest interviews with our personal interviews with just the three of us. I think it's nice, you know, like we have fun conversations and we can be silly, but we can also talk about interesting things that are on our minds, and who knows what'll happen. We don't really know what's going to happen right now, and we just wanted to get in here and do this, which I think is fun and explorative. So that's where we're at.
Explorative.
Is that a word?
I think it's explorative.
Explorative?
Yeah, I don't think there's a tative. I don't think there's a tate in there.
Dude, always add a tative if you can.
Tative?
Yeah, when in doubt, add a tate.
Explorism.
Could you do me a favor though, Jules, and just eat that microphone? You kind of have a problem with
You
it.
don't need to eat it.
You do
I've
too.
Been, I've
No,
been
you don't.
editing every single one of these
Yeah.
videos, and the sound always sounds great.
Yeah, you don't need to eat it.
You tell
You guys,
people that?
listen. Executive
Pulling us out.
decision. Executive decision right now. You need to get the mic in your face.
You're pulling us away from the thought, Alan. Hey, I just saw myself in the camera up there. What do you guys think about this beard I got going on right now?
I think that you grow a good mustache, but the rest of it looks confusing.
It's pretty, yeah, it is. It's confusing to me, too.
Kind of got like a swashbuckler goatee and then this like chintzy little
I know.
scattered like Jackson Pollock.
It's the Ecuadorian in me.
Your
like chops.
your facial hair looks like Andre 3000's facial hair. Have you ever seen? Pull up a picture of Andre 3000. He can't grow a full
What are you
beard.
talking about?
It does.
That's a horrible example of somebody who can't
No, I
grow
swear to God.
facial hair.
Or no, pull up even better.
I think
Pull
you're
up
thinking
a.
of like Oprah's, not Oprah, Whoopi Goldberg's eyebrows.
No, I
Yeah,
was
she
absolutely
doesn't grow
not
them.
thinking of Wookiee.
Exist.
Yeah, they
wasn't-
don't exist.
No, I'm thinking of Andre. Even better, pull up a picture of Anthony Hamilton. Your facial hair looks exactly like Anthony Hamilton grows a full
sparse?
beard. It looks like sideburns.
I have like pretty prominent chops, but my facial hair sucks, man. It doesn't grow in. Although this is the most facial hair out of anybody in my family.
Way to go.
Thank you.
Do you guys have facial hair offs at
No, it's just obvious
Easter?
that I have the most. No, but we get weigh-ins during Thanksgiving. My brother Tony once gained 11 pounds.
Right? Was this a turkey weigh-in or the turkey bowl?
Just turkey feast. Thanksgiving.
I think you should have gone with turkey bowl. It's a
Yeah,
better
sure.
name.
Sure.
So explain to me what you guys do.
Well, we just went into my for Thanksgiving dinner and weighed ourselves pre-dinner,
Yeah.
and then weighed ourselves again after dinner. And my brother Tony gained 11 pounds.
Can you puke before the initial weigh-in?
No, but he puked a ton afterwards, and then he was like, food coma is how they say, oh my God, I'm in a food coma. He like legitimately put himself into a coma.
How many days did he sleep?
Dude, I don't know, 4. He was out of it for good, man. It was weird. It was crazy. He ate too much. Too much.
Is there a time limit on the turkey feast?
No, it's just dinner. You just have dinner.
Right, but like if Tony could eat for 9 hours versus you only eating for 2.
Yeah, it's
does
just
that-
over the
doesn't-
course of dinner. So like we're just having Thanksgiving dinner. So it's probably like around like 2 hours at most.
What do you
get
think-
sick of it, dude. You're over it.
Sure,
You
yeah.
have to
What do you
cash
what do you
out.
think is the highest caloric aspect of Thanksgiving dinner? If you were had
Over
to pick.
10 grand, dude.
No. Like which item?
Oh, what item is the most
What
caloric?
item on the table? Is it the turkey? Is it the potatoes?
Well,
is it
my
the pumpkin
cousin,
pie?
my cousin Kiki drank.
Hold on. You have a cousin named Kiki?
Her name's Kirsten, but we call her Kiki.
Oh, so you
she's the
said
only.
Ki-
So she's the only girl in a family of all a bunch of moronic boys,
Mm-hmm.
and so she's always tried to kind of like prove herself to all of us. And that same exact year, she drank the gravy boat.
Oh, what a savage.
I know, it was crazy, man. She drank the gravy boat, so that was probably the most caloric intake of items on the table.
Was the
that day.
well? Let's think. I mean, what is gravy? Gravy is isn't it just the runoff
I
of
don't
the
know.
turkey
What's
grease?
gravy, Steve? We don't. He's the cook.
I have no idea, honestly. I know it's just like making a roux, basically, like a flour.
Right, but you can
Juice.
do it
It's like
without the flour.
Yeah, it's just juice. It's just like very liquidy at that point.
Oh, yeah, it's like au jus.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Does au jus just mean a juice? Anybody?
I don't know. I got a lot of fact checking over here.
Yeah.
Did you get a pic?
Steve can't even contribute to the conversation right now. He's just looking up.
I'm
facts.
looking up Andre 3000 beard. And
Look at it. Did you see a picture of it? It looks like Julian's beard.
He's got a pretty good beard, actually.
Go to Andre
Andre or
3000.
me?
Julian, your beard looks like the Caribbean islands.
Just scattered and all over the place.
Julian,
doesn't connect.
your beard reminds me of my lawn.
What is it? What is? Tell people what that looks like.
My dogs pee in our yard, and so there's these little weird yellow patches
of
all
death.
throughout. Yeah.
Grass death.
No, it's that they dig, too, like to cover their tracks.
Yeah.
The old back kicks.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah,
Well, I'll
and we
shave
haven't
it.
clipped their nails since COVID, so they got some gangly. They got like bear claws, both of them.
You also need to clip your dog's nails, Steve. He jumped up on me this morning. I'm staying with Steve right now, and Baloo had some really sharp nails. He gave me my first kiss of my life this morning, but he jumped up on me and scratched me at the same time. So
Are you gonna press charges?
You probably deserve
Yes.
it. You can try your darndest.
I was so pleased with the kiss, but then I was so bummed with the scratch.
Well,
It's okay.
love is pain.
Yeah.
It is.
No pain, no gain, Jules.
Dude,
No free rides. Isn't that the term? No free rides.
that's
Ass,
don't know
grass,
the term. I don't know
ass,
the-
grass, or gas.
no shirt, no shoes, no problem.
No shirt, no shoes, no sibilance.
No resemblance.
What is the go-to? You're on a road trip, okay? You're about 2.5 hours in. You're in the middle of nowhere. And 76 gas station pops up, bing, on the side of the road. You're like, dude, I gotta lose this, whatever I got going on in my bladder, I gotta get rid of. You cruise into the side, pop a lefty. What's after you take a leak? What's the first section of the gas station food items that you go check out,
dude? Well, as long as the hot Cheetos and the beef jerky are right next to each other, that. Jerky chew. If they have jerky chew, dude, I'm going in on 7 boxes of them.
The like
you
ground
just put them
up
in your lip and act like you're just dipping some dangle, dude.
dipping some dangle. I used to go with that. You guys ever rock the Big League Chew?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, dude, I used to throw that in 3 bites and I'd swallow it.
Oh man, I would throw it in and it would actually cut my lip up because I had it in my lip. It's a gum. It's just sugar, and it would all the acid would just like cut my lip, and I would be. It was gross. It didn't work.
Yeah, I
You
loved it.
swallowed it?
I did. Yeah, I was a gum swallower. Did you guys ever go through a phase of swallowing gum?
No, I was super scared of swallowing anything like pills and everything. It scared the shit out of me.
Why?
I don't know. My mom used to have to like break up my pills and mix them with sugar, like Mary Poppins would do for her children.
Right, but like just because you would just gag?
I was just scared. Yeah, I thought I was gonna choke on the pill.
You do have an odd gag reflex. I notice, like all the time we've spent together throughout our life, when you brush your teeth, you almost puke.
Yeah, and there's something, there's something kind of nice about it. Honestly, I kind of like it. It's weird. Like I like.
Yeah, that is super weird.
Yeah, I don't like it, but there's something about that routine for me in the morning when I gag while I'm brushing my teeth.
It's really weird,
Feels good.
Steve. I'm not sure if you've noticed this, but our boy over here enjoys making himself puke, but doesn't like to sneeze.
So he gets the slim
Oh, yeah.
figures. I have the same thing when I brush my teeth.
I don't actually puke. I just gag. It's just like you brushing your tongue. You know, you're like getting down there deep, and then you gag, and without question, every time it happens. And I don't know. I kind of like it. Similarly to the way that your bidet makes me feel. It's
Dude,
so good.
If there's any representatives of the company Tushy out there, not the pornography site, but the bidet,
site?
the bidet company, bless your heart. Because I installed one of those Tushy machines on my guest bathroom, and I can't get enough. I can't get enough.
Say what?
Spray, 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 spray.
Yo, bud.
And no wipey, dude. I don't even wipe the water off. I just stand on up, let that cool breeze just flow over my body.
My only problem is that I sit on it for so long, like at least 6 minutes with it going full blast, and then I get up and there's like water dripping down from my nards.
The other day,
And the toilet paper that you use like that just like saturates, and then like you don't know what to do with it. It feels
Right.
good, but then I just don't know what to do when
you
I'm
got to
done.
dab the teepee, because if you don't, then it'll just turn into like a paper mache project. Do you guys have those in kindergarten? You blew up the balloon and then you paper mached around it, and then you popped the balloon and you made a fun little paper mache face.
I made a volcano.
Okay. Not what I was asking. But that works. Yeah, I watch Rudy in the mornings when I wake up, because Taz and I switch. You know, she'll sleep in one morning, I get up with Rue, and then the next morning it switches. But if Taz is sleeping and I gotta do a number 2, I can't just leave Rudy downstairs in the living room. I got to take him with me. So I bring him into the bathroom. Kid is infatuated with throwing stuff in the toilet. So I gotta play Hope Solo goalie on the toilet bowl while I'm sitting in it, because he's trying to throw like figurines down there and like rubber duckies. And one time I was right at the end of my my business meeting, and I had the bidet on, and sure enough, Rudy comes from like left field, just chucks a Jay Buhner towards the toilet, and I like pull back, and the bidet shoots out of the toilet.
Hits him in the face.
No, it didn't hit him. It just painted the wall in front of me.
Geez.
Thing's powerful. I was like
It
very
is.
surprised. At least like 15-foot range on that thing.
Really?
Yeah, that's a good product.
Wow. Yeah, that thing's great. Tushy?
Tushy.
Maybe we can get a sponsy.
I hope so, man.
That would be so cool, man. if we
That
could
would be
get
great. I would be able to outfit all the rest of the toilets I have in my house. Although we could just buy them. They're like $30. It's not.
Here's an interesting question for you, Alan.
Me and Steve will decide whether it's interesting or
well,
not.
that's
but
fine. It's layered here, so bear with me. But you're just talking about Rudy, your child, and I think you are in a unique situation where now you're home all the time, which is very rare for you.
Yeah.
And so you get to spend more time with Rudy. You get to be like more of a father than you would have been otherwise. Not to say that you weren't before, but you just were absent because of your career. I think I've talked to a lot of my friends who are friends who have kids as well, and it seems like it's like I think 10 years from now, the history books will write something significant about the new parents of this era of like this pandemic.
Interesting.
Because of like the hardships that have like weighed on them as parents. And I've spent time with a lot of my friends with kids right now, and man, it seems hard. But you and Taz make it look pretty simple. It's not.
Well, Taz is incredible.
Taz is incredible.
And that is an interesting question, although our generation of parents that are living through this pandemic, grant you, it's not easy because you're just spending a whole. I mean, the world that is operating around you is just tense. Mm-hmm. So that's hard, right? But I mean, can you imagine raising kids through World War II? Like, our generation hasn't seen hardship in comparison to like what the capacity of human pain and violence could be, right? Like we somehow think that, at least I do, when I think of the world around me, I think that for some reason, any film or any history book that would depict World War II, World War I, incredibly tumultuous times in our, Earth's history, I think it can't happen again for some reason. I'm just like, we're safe.
Mm-hmm.
We got Zuckerberg now. Everything's gonna be great.
Right.
And it's not true.
Right. It's not.
There's like we have the ability now, just as much as 100 years ago, for the thin veneer of humanity and society and order to completely fade away and shit to go crazy. Mm-hmm. I do think that I'm definitely, as a father, learning so much during this whole thing, and I'm seeing, I'm growing within my ability to be patient, to be kind, to be understanding. I'm learning to be a father, but I think you have to. I was raised in a household where my parents, bless their hearts, they were incredible, but it was an authoritarian relationship where if my folks said do something, you do something. Mm-hmm. And my personality, that's like, you want me to do something, you tell me to do it, I'm going to want to do the complete opposite. That's just like what my personality is. And Rudy is that exact same way.
Yeah.
Like, he is extremely determined. If you don't want him standing on the dining table, what's the one thing he's going to do for the rest of the 3 hours that he's awake? He's going to do his best to stand and stomp on the dining table. So learning how to readjust and almost not distract, but find a new way to get the result that I want without. I mean, in reality, the only reason why I would play the authoritarian position in that role is my own ego. Like, I paid for that table, or like, I'm the dad. Mm-hmm. I'm the dad, listen to me. But in reality, I just don't want the kid to fall off the table and break his noggin. So however I manage to do it without bribing or yelling or being authoritarian in that position, that's a new learning curve for me that I'm still trying to figure out. Taz is a little bit better at it than I am, but I'm doing my best to learn that situation.
Yeah, I saw her do this like reverse psychology thing with him where he likes keys a lot.
Yeah.
And he likes computers and likes buttons and stuff.
Yeah.
And something that he was trying to grab at that he wasn't supposed to have or something. So she went and grabbed another object, and then like had it and was like playing with it a bunch and acting as if like it was something that she really wanted, even though it wasn't, so that she could kind of trick him into believing that it was something special to her, because then he would want it as a result of that. And then he grabbed it, and she was like, no, give it back to me, I want it. And then she took it and was hanging on to it for a little while, like acting. And then he like, I want it. Finally got it back to him. And that was like, oh, that was what you did. That was the strategy.
Yeah, it's
cool.
like there's a parenting style, or at least it's, I don't know if there's a study of it. It's like a version, or Taz is reading this Montessori book. Montessori is like a schooling program, or a child learning psychology. I'm not positive exactly what you would call it, but it's there's a whole set of schools throughout the country called the Montessori schools. I think they're geared a little bit more towards art, and it's just a little bit of the curriculum is a little bit different than like traditional public school. And I think one of the early learning tips that the Montessori schools give is aversion, where you just like that. It's not necessarily a trick. It's like there's a power struggle happening there. Mm-hmm. And if you give the power to him, he's stoked about it. Like my sister did this the other day. She's been staying with us the last couple of days, and he's up on the table, right? We want him to get off the table. Mm-hmm. But if we tell him like, okay, get off the table, he's not going to get off the table, right? Because it's almost like a power struggle in reality. And I don't know if he's naturally or intentionally doing that, but that's what it appears to be. And so Kaylee says, shout out to my sister Kaylee.
Shout out, dude.
Shout. She says, hey, Rudy, do you want to get off on this chair, or do you want to get down on this chair? And she gave him the power in that moment to choose which chair he got down on. The averting idea was the decision of the two chairs, not get off the table.
Wow.
It was like, you want to try to get down off this table, or off this chair, or off this chair over here.
Yeah.
And then he was right away got off the table. Like he chose one and got off.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's so brilliant.
Well, it's true to how we kind of operate as people too. When we turn into adults, we need to feel empowered to do something. We don't just want to be told every day what to do. So those are teaching good values, man, and I think that's awesome. It's cool to see both of you guys doing that, especially in a time where I've spent time with friends who have had kids that I've just been like, man, this seems like if I was ever thinking about having kids, I'm no longer thinking about that.
That was going to be my next question. Are either of you guys considering having children after the amount of time you've spent with mine?
I mean, Steve, you can take that one, man, and answer that, but no.
Do you want to have kids ever, Steve?
I think I'd like to.
Yeah. You'd be a great dad.
Thanks, man. I don't know if it's on the table right now. It's definitely a conversation, but I'm definitely. I think I'd like to be a dad because I had such a great childhood with my dad.
Yeah.
And I'd like to emulate that in the world and pass that along.
Yeah, your pops is a legend.
Yeah.
Gigantic feet.
And
what's your dad's name again, Steve?
Phil.
Phil?
Yeah.
Shout out to Phil, man.
Yeah.
Phil Libby.
Legend.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. I've met that guy a couple times. He's great.
Quality folk. How about you, Jill? Oh, sorry, Steve.
Oh, it's all good. I was going to say for everyone listening, Montessori is a method of education that is based on self-directed activity, hands-on learning, and collaborative play.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, collaborative play is a good one.
Cool. Thanks for fact-checking that.
That's a lot of fun. Thank you, Steve. Yep. Jules, how about you? Where are you sitting currently on ever being a father?
I wasn't really thinking about doing it before I started spending time with my friends' kids. I wasn't completely opposed to it, but I wasn't really about it. I don't know. I mean, I think I would be a pretty good father, but I'm also really concerned with my like extremist mentality, in that I feel like I would be really hard on myself about not being 100% committed to a child, and then because if I had anything else going on in my life, which I do as an actor, as a whatever it is that I'm trying to work on in my life.
As a lady killer.
Yeah, dude, check it out. If I had to remove my commitment from something else to put 100% of my commitment into this child, it would make me really anxious and crazy about what I was doing in my other life. So unless I could put that 100% on that child, I wouldn't want to. And I just don't ever see. I mean, there's, I've talked to parents as well. It's like you can find balance in doing both things. You have found that balance with yourself. I'm just so scared of. I think I would just beat myself up for being a bad father if I was gone for a period of time, or if I didn't know how to really kind of like navigate, how to be there all the time and being like the best father I could possibly be. And I don't know, it just scares me, and maybe I'm just too immature to have a father at this point in my life. I'm 34 years old, and I don't want to be an old father. Like I can't really see myself having kids past 40, but anything's possible. My values might change if I meet somebody who I'm super stoked on having a kid with, but
that should. I mean, you need to find an incredible woman.
Yeah,
that's in my personal opinion, that is the only reason why I'm able to be a father, is because Taz is a beast of a mother.
for sure.
But before I had Rudy, I was incredibly. When we first met, I was no kids ever.
Oh yeah, you talked about it up until like 4 years ago.
Yeah, until
Even
Taz was
earlier.
like, "I'm going away if you don't want to have kids."
Yeah.
And I was like, "All right, I guess I got to warm up to the idea of being a dad." And I'm so glad I did. It's amazing. The efficacy of having kids and the tools and the lessons that it gives you and it teaches you are irreplaceable.
Totally.
It's irreplaceable, because you don't. I don't. When I look at my craft and music, I was extremely afraid of the same thing. If I have a kid, I'm not going to be able to focus on my art. I'm not going to be able to focus on my image and my Instagram followers and all. And when I had a kid, thank God, because all the bullshit in my life, which typically is centered around my art and my ego and my image and all these things that don't actually matter in the grand scheme of your life, they went away. Why? Because I don't have time for them anymore. I don't have time to worry about like what other people are thinking about me. Because in this stage of my life, the only thing that is important to me, or the greatest thing that is important, I want to put out good art. I want to have some integrity in the music that I put out. But the most important thing to me is providing for my family, is providing for my wife and my kid, and setting them up for a life that that is prosperous, that can allow them to relax a little bit. And if it wasn't for having kids, I don't know if I would have done that. I would have probably been working just as hard as I was for the first 5 years of my relationship with Taz. I've told you guys 100 times, like, this is the most time me and Taz have ever spent in the same house together. I think up to this point, it was like 3 weeks was the longest stretch, which is absurd.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of fun if you're with your partner, you kind of get adjusted to being in the same house. You're really excited about seeing them, and then they leave and you have time to miss them.
Yeah.
Which is cool, but it's really odd to build a lifelong partnership off of that sort of scenario.
Yeah.
And having Rudy really kind of just shaped me up, I think, and at least put a lot of things in perspective that maybe don't matter as much as I thought they did.
Yeah, you were forced to work on your work-life balance.
Yep.
Yeah.
And finding the healthy routine and lifestyle within that, with your partnership with Taz and your kid.
Yeah.
Totally. And I believe you and all of my friends and family members who have had kids that say something similar to that. I believe that when people are like, dude, you don't know this kind of love until you do this kind of thing. You don't know like this work-life balance until you do this thing. I believe that, but I'm not gonna have and I believe that like I could probably gain a lot of value in my life from having a child, but I'm not gonna have a child
Just for that.
in the efforts to
Yeah,
make my
totally,
life better
totally,
either.
totally.
Yeah, no, you should never have a child for that. You should
Yeah.
have a child because you're madly in love with somebody and you want to have a child with them and start a
Yeah.
family with them. I mean, that's seemingly what it is. It's an interesting. You say everybody that I've talked to, and I care about and I trust has told me that having kids is amazing. But like, who would tell you otherwise?
Exactly, you have to say that. You're stuck.
Who's the asshole?
Well, there's always somebody that's just like,
gonna
dude,
be.
wink, wink, like,
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
don't.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just
Dude,
like walking away from their wife and like, bro, don't.
oh my god. The night that I found out that Taz was pregnant, I was at a yoga convention. We were playing at this like it was like a yoga festival, but there was also music as well. And I had somehow found my way into this circle of dudes, and literally 3 hours prior to this, Taz had FaceTimed me with the test results, right? Like
Oh,
peeked it up.
that was how you found out, like then?
Yeah, I was out. I was in. It was Tahoe or somewhere. I'm not
Yeah.
sure where it was. And this guy, this guy goes, "I don't have kids." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "No, absolutely not. Do not have kids. It changes you physiologically." Like he goes down this whole path of the negative effects of having kids, right?
Hate it.
And his friend that was right there with him was like, "It's the best decision I ever made,
Yeah.
man. I love my kids." But this one guy was awesome, so bold, just to be like, "No, it's stupid. It's a
Yeah.
terrible idea.
Yeah.
Never do it."
Well, I don't think you get that hindsight, even if you do at all, ever. Hopefully you never do get that, out of the relationship you have with your kids if you wind up having them. But I'm sure, 25 years down the road after your kids are out of the house, you can be like, that sucked. or that was great. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people. Dude, my parents,
Your
I think
parents
they're-
love you,
For
dude.
sure. They love me, man. But we were the worst. We were the worst. And I can't even imagine 3 boys growing up in a house with my mom and like being that to her and being so destructive and so like we were just hell raisers. Everything we did was so wrong.
What do you reckon the
and
worst
stupid.
thing you ever did to your mom was?
We just didn't give a shit to.
No,
we
I
were
want
just
to know
defiant.
specifics. I want to know the thing that you did.
Me specifically, or
You
like,
specifically.
dude. Well, it wasn't me that was. I don't know. It's subjective because I think I was my mom's fave because I'm the baby, and I was always like, I cuddled with my mom until I was like 10 years old, dude. Like
That's
me and my
hot.
mom were super. It's hot. Me and my mom were tight and are tight still. So I always had this like need to, kind of please my mom and make my mom feel happy and satisfied. So I was always very conscious as a kid of like not hurting her feelings or not making her sad or tormenting her like the way that I knew she was being by nature of all of us being maniacs. But I participated in all the shit that my brothers put me into, which was like throwing us out of a 2-story window in the middle of the night by like waking me up and splashing water on my face and then just ejecting me from the 2-story window onto the trampoline and like not even knowing where the actual trampoline was. I would like hit the bar and just like crack my back from like, 20 feet up, and I'm 8 years old, and then they'd come down, like they'd jump down after me and just like start pummeling my face. And it was just like it's like we're having fun. This is what fun is, Julian. And I'm like, yeah.
You just so badly wanted to be accepted.
I just
by
wanted
your
to be
buddies.
so accepted, and like, totally, man. I wanted to participate in everything they were participating in. Like Tony and I have this really funny video of Tony's probably like 6 or 7, and I'm 3 or 4 or something, and Tony's coming out, and Tony's this big showman and like superstar, and he's playing Superman, and then he's like, everybody, I want to introduce myself to you. I am Superman. And my dad's sitting behind the camera just like, muchachos, this is so funny. I can't believe it. And Tony's just sitting there like showboating himself. And he's like, I'm Superman. And he goes, okay, now it's time for Lois Lane to come out. And out comes me in this wig that's like a grandma wig. And I'm just like sad because I so badly wanted to be Superman. And Tony always made me be that accessory to him, which was the Lois Lane character. And I think it's very like metaphoric or analogous to my life and like how I was growing up with them, because I wanted so bad to participate, and I in the video I throw my wig off and I'm like, I don't want to be Lois Lane, and Tony's like, Julian, you ruined the whole entire movie. You ruined everything, and just got so mad at me and like shoved me over, and then that was just always what it was. It was like you have to play by the rules that we create for you because you're the littlest brother, but you also have to have fun because what we're doing is having fun here, Julian. So take the beating, take the Lois Lane part, because you're not ever going to get anything more than that, and enjoy it because we're enjoying this. This is what we're doing. Like WWF matches on the trampoline would be like, all right, Julian, this is the part where I beat the shit out of you, and you have to like it.
Were Tony and Gabe ever the heel, or were you always the heel and they were the Batman and Robin? And I don't know if we should be using people's real names.
Tony and Gabe, whatever, dude. They're pumped.
Gabe, yeah.
They're pumped.
Shout out to both of them. I love them both very much.
This is starting to turn into a thing where I think Julian should lay down on the couch.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, when he was saying that, this podcast, we just started another podcast from How Good's This to This Is Terrible.
No, it's awesome, man. Like you asked what was the worst thing I did to my mom.
Yeah, all I wanted you to do to be like,
right,
dude, one time I put saran wrap over the toilet, she shit on herself. But you went down this.
I don't know. I don't know what the worst thing I ever did to my mom was, man. Like I'm just trying to like.
Just give me a story. Give me one thing.
I mean,
fine, I'll go. One time, I built this tree house right in my front yard.
Yeah.
Terrible tree house. And my mom hung her clothes out to dry a good 30 yards from this tree house. And she came out. She didn't know I was in the tree fort, and I had my slingshot. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna lay one down right next to her. Scare her a little bit, right? Had a few pebbles up there in the fort. Rear back. Not attempting to hit my poor mother at all.
Sure.
Smack dab right in the forehead.
Oh, man.
Put her down, dude.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, I never got to play slingshot again. I was just a terrible shot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Awful.
Well, you didn't intend to do it.
No, but when it hit her, you should have heard I instantly started crying because I knew that my behind was about to get spreckled with spoon dust.
Spreckled with spoon dust, dude. I had a couple spankings in my day too. Well deserved, I'm sure. But yeah, you didn't intend to do that. So like when you asked me what was the worst thing I did to my mom, I was thinking about like something that I did maliciously to my mom. And that's a hard thing to think of because, me, like, yeah, it's...
Okay, what's a terrible thing that you did accidentally to your mom?
Dude, I couldn't tell you. I mean, I remember there's one story of Tony and I. Tony had this really serious girlfriend when he was like 14 years old, and we had a go-kart growing up, and so we took that go-kart through Mill Creek, the little town that we grew up in, and it was we were driving it at like 4:00 in the morning down like the main roads, and before we knew it, we were being like sandwiched in by 2 police cars because it's illegal to be driving a go-kart on the streets of Mill Creek at 4:00 in the morning when you're 14 and 10. And I was on the back of the car riding with Tony over to his girlfriend's house. And so the cops pulled us over, and they were like, "You kids know this is a violation of the law here." And we were just like, "Oh my God, dude, we're so sorry. We're so sorry. We'll pull around and turn the go-kart back and go home." Like, "No, we're gonna need to call your family about this." And we're like, "Oh no, dude, my mom already thinks we're such idiots. Please don't call her and tell on us." So sure enough, they called her. My mom came, and she was just like, "Nope, give them tickets. Take them in. I don't care. Take them in. I don't want any. I'm not taking them home tonight. Like, you are going to punish them at the full length of the law. Please, like, take them and do whatever you need to do with them. They need to learn their lesson."
Did you go to jail?
No, we didn't go to jail, but I don't even think that. I think they were like, "Ma'am, it's a go-kart.
You have to take it."
Like, we're not going to do anything with these
Straight
kids."
to right.
Yeah, straight to Rikers. Yeah, I think also just like a lot of choices I made in my life really made my mom sad growing up, because I was just like such a lost person. So, like, she just wanted me to do well, and I was just like not, and I just kept one after another, just making bad decisions and like finding myself in these like really bad headspaces of myself just because of certain things. And she was just like, "Be better than this, Julian." So I think that was something that,
It's interesting to know somebody like at the tail end of, because I didn't know you as a child. I knew you when you were 18,
yeah.
and I think you were you weren't completely coming out of a recklessness, but if we would have known each other when we were both 9,
Yeah.
I would have stayed the hell away from you.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting, man. Like my best friend growing up, who lived in my cul-de-sac, his family came over for Christmas this year, and we had like a party at my dad's house, and his whole family was there. His two brothers and his mom and dad. And I hadn't seen these guys. I've seen him several times, and I haven't seen his family though for 15, 20 years. And so I was talking to them, and I realized that, man, I used to call him all the time, my friend, and ask, hey, can Kevin come out and play? And I'd ask Kevin, can you come over and hang out with me? I live 2 houses away from him, and he'd be like, "Hold on, let me go ask my mom." And I always thought that was weird. He said, like, "Just come over and hang out with me." So he'd leave for 5 minutes on the telephone call. Then he'd come back and be like, "My mom says I can't come over and play." And I'd always be like, "Why not, dude? We're so close to each other. Just come over and hang out. We can have a sleepover. We can play. We can do something." And 75% of the time it was a no. And I always just remember being like, "Dude, your parents suck." But what I realized 30 years later when I talked to them, I was like, you were just protecting your son because you didn't want him to come over to my house, because if anybody came over to my house, they were either going to get their asses kicked by my brothers, or they were just going to get into some trouble with me, because I was just trying to get away from getting my ass kicked and trying to go and substitute that feeling for something else that I was going to go and do. And it was always just trouble. And so, yeah, it was definitely, you definitely would have stayed away from me.
Yeah, and
or your parents wouldn't have let you even hang.
I definitely had some situations like that where my folks wouldn't allow me to go certain places, and I had no idea why. It's like, why not? You let me go over to, my Seventh-day Adventist friend's house every time I ask.
Yeah.
But I can't go over to the fun house that's got Prime Star and Skinamax.
Ooh. Yeah, nobody was allowed over in my house. That's
Yeah,
not
well,
true. We had a lot-
go-karts at 4 a.m, man.
Yeah, and trampolines with just like, throwing people out the window. Everybody knew about it. They were like, "Oh, those Gavilanes boys are up to no good." And plus we were like, Tony was in bands, and there was always music, and we were having parties, and cops were like patrolling our cul-de-sac. We were bad kids. But
Do you think that informs your desire to have kids eventually? Like, how bad you and your brothers were to your parents, do you think that informs your position on whether or not you want to procreate?
probably. Yeah, probably.
Because kind of like Steve earlier, he's like, I think I want to have kids because my childhood was so awesome and my relationship with my dad was so amazing. Same here.
Yeah.
Like when I was presented with the crossroads of do I want to have kids or not with my now wife, I thought about all my favorite people. All my favorite people in the world, all the people I look up to most are fathers.
Yeah.
And to me, going through that process too, like, dude, having a kid is like the one. Now, granted, everything we do is kind of a miracle, right? Like your eyeballs and how they focus on light and distance and 3D images, like that. If you break it down to the physics and the science of what is happening in your mind and in your brain, that's a miracle, right? But the most tangible miracle I've ever been a part of is I was just gonna think of I was just gonna go down a really crude rabbit hole, but I'm gonna hold my tongue. The most tangible miracle I've ever experienced, first person, was my child's birth.
Right.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane what the body is capable of.
Yeah.
Bonkers, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't know. I don't want to make it seem like my childhood was so hard. It wasn't. I grew up in a great family with like great values, and we had a blast. It was just my experience. I didn't think it was awful when I was having it, and it wasn't. Even in retrospect, it was just like that's what it was. And I can reflect back on that now and recognize that. So, my whole family has come like full circle, and we are all like really close now more than ever. And it's so cool. Like my parents are friends with each other after like 20 years of being divorced and like never seeing each other, speaking to each other, like having any like just always distance. So it's really cool. But I'm sure that informs my desires to have children. I don't know, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just scared in general.
What would it feel like with all of the emotions that were tossed around during that period of your life where your folks split? What would it feel like if in their 70s your parents got back together?
It seems so impossible.
Would you be like, what was the fucking point?
Yeah, no, I would honestly, like, just the first thought in my head would be like, it's cool. It's never going to happen because you hang out with my parents and you're like, what in the hell did you guys ever do for 25 years in a marriage together? It's very weird to even...
Bonkers that they were married for 25 years. Because how old were they when they got married? In their
22.
22. Wow, dude. Married them young back in the day.
Yeah.
When did your folks get married, Steve?
I think 27 and 25.
Yeah, that seems like a more reasonable age.
Yeah.
What was I, 31? Dude, I have a good amount of my family got married super early. Early 20s.
Yeah.
And I wasn't ready.
You weren't ready to be born?
No, I wasn't ready at that age. I mean, I had a serious relationship in that period of my life.
I see what you're saying.
Like, super serious, probably like 20, 21, like coming out of high school. If I would have got married to another person during that point in my life, God bless their soul, their life would have been miserable.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I don't even feel old enough, mature enough, wise enough, kind enough, all the greatest adjectives that I can't think of right now because I've got a little bit too much caffeine rolling through my dome. Of all the things that I am not, I felt like I got married early when I did. Like 31, I was like, this is way too early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Have you had that conversation with your parents regarding that?
Like that I'm too young?
No, I mean, like when my dad was asking, obviously I've been in a relationship for a really long time with my partner, and my, parents were asking, are we planning on having kids? And, then he kind of just broke it down to being like, look, don't worry about it. And we had no clue what we were doing when we had you and your sister either. We were just, and when you're younger, you think of 20s and 30s as older, as like responsible, doing all this
Right.
stuff. And now that we're there, I'm just like, dude, I'm still 16 in so many ways.
Right.
And then that's just kind of what his reflection was. He's like, have them or don't. You're going to figure it out as you go. You're a good person. It probably will work out. But, like, know going into it that you don't know what you're doing when you go into it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're just winging it. I think back on all the those little pivot points in my life where I'm like, I was really bitter for a long time at my folks. You know, like, you did this to me, and I was kind of trying to, like, just cultivate. I think all my favorite people and all the, like, musicians and poets and writers and actors that I looked up to just had super effed up childhoods. Mm-hmm. So my childhood was so good that there was, like, one point in my life where I was,
you, like, wished you
I was trying to cultivate this, like, negative perspective about the way I was raised.
Yeah, I felt that. I think any, like, suburban middle class kid is like, I wish it was harder for me so I could feel like I could really get motivated. It's like the stupidest thing to ever think.
So dumb. You definitely do not want that.
Privileged people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But
go kart and a fucking trampoline.
Yeah.
The struggle is real.
Yeah, dude. You probably had a pogo stick on with a V6,
Bro.
4 on the floor. But what was my point?
What was it?
Oh,
Sorry.
all the little pivot points where I think about, like, no, I would never do this to my child. It's like, dude, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Like, all I want to do is just make sure that Rudy doesn't kill himself. That's it. Like, doesn't, pull a chandelier off the shelf or chandeliers aren't on the shelf, like a vase off the shelf and, like, crack his noggin. Yeah. But, man, to think about the intricacies of human development and cognitive development, all these things that, like, we are, at least me personally, I'm going to play a part in that world. Dude, I have no qualifications. I went to 1 semester of Bible college. You know what they taught me there? To not go to Bible college.
To not put chandeliers on shelves.
Yeah, that's true.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's very weird, man. Steve, did you have like a really kind of nice childhood growing up back there in Santa Barb's as well? Did you feel these pressures that we're talking about, or what was it like for you?
Yeah, I think every child has a similar experience with that. But yeah, it was reflecting on my childhood. I think I had a great childhood. I was always provided for. It was happy and healthy, and I was just lucky and fortunate to have that. I had a great group of a supporting cast too. It was like my house was kind of the hub, so there was always something going on. It was like my dad started a band in, like, 1991, and those are all, like, my aunts and uncles. They're always at the house. They had kids similar ages, so we always had, like, activities and fun things to do. And I was trying to think of things that I did terribly to my mother, and the only one I could think of was I was like 13, 14, skater, punk kid trying to, like, impress my friends, and it was just like, woman, make me a pizza. Body slammed me in the kitchen. Picked me up and body slammed me in the kitchen.
Good for her.
Yeah, and it was like, never
did that again.
Never again.
Yeah.
But no, I'm sure there were moments, but I think I had a great childhood, and I know it was, like, a lot of fun. And my parents never had anything other, there's no money in the bank. It was always like, how are we paying for activities? Get him involved in sports, get him involved in acting classes, get him involved in all this different stuff. So I just think, again, like, to the privilege point, I was very lucky to be shielded off from a lot of hardships, and my parents were just struggling to survive in a town that's very expensive in the very blue-collar area. Like, that's where their focus was just trying to, like, survive in this place and provide. In their hardships, they were really good at putting a veil over the struggles that they had just to provide for the whole family.
Yeah.
So very grateful for that. But going back to having the conversation as an adult with your parents, I think is such a mind-blowing experience.
Sure.
To grow into realizing they were very similar human beings as to where we were in our mid-20s and early 30s, and that's a very visceral thing to go over in your own spirit and reflection of how you've lived your life and how you affect other people in your universe. And I think I've been very lucky. minus meeting you two jabronis. I'm very fortunate to surround myself with some decents.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about your parents' life before you, because you have no reference for that. You don't really have a reference for who your parents are until you're like 7 or 8, really, right? So to know that they had these lives before you, just similarly to how Rudy doesn't know who you are right now and who you've been for the last 10 years,
Right.
and the lifestyle you've created for yourself, nor will he really have any concept of that probably till he's 30, till
Well,
you're
even-
much older, and to have those like adult conversations with each other, and to be like, wow, like, thank you for being my family and my parents and raising me. And because I think I speak for all three of us to be able to say that we're very filled with gratitude and lucky for the existence that we get to live. And it's a direct result of our youth and our upbringing and how our parents raised us. And even if that was tumultuous and bad, it's at points, and we were assholes, that was the point.
Yeah, it's interesting, your relationship with your folks. Do you guys ever? It's hard for me to see my parent. This is going to sound really weird. It's hard for me to see my parents the same way as I see like a peer. But in my adulthood, of course, my parents are my parents. But in reality, they're just humans, right? At the end of the day, they possess the same capacity towards fear and sadness and pain and confusion and remorse as I do.
Yeah.
But both of my parents hold such a reverence in my mind
Right.
that it's hard for me to. It isn't until as of recent where my parents have had a couple health scares that I'm like, oh, you are not like invincible. You are a human being. You do feel fear and sadness, and you are potentially just as unstable as I feel in my own life.
Yeah.
That's been a crazy development for me. Have you guys gone through any of that, or were you able to find that adjustment pretty soon in your adulthood?
I mean, you're definitely raised to think your parents are infallible. That's like what it is. They're your rock, they're your core, they're your moral compass, they're your driving spirit and force, and like so many things that you do on a support level and creative level, and they curate your environment so much until you find a little independence. And I think my parents were they were raised very strict religious, like Jesuit school kind of kids, and they didn't want that at all for me and my sister. So when they kind of realized cognitively I was able to digest what negative things life can give you, they were pretty good about having a dialogue with me about learning and growing into that situation. So I was lucky with that one, I think.
Yeah. I think I saw some pretty I think I saw a lot of humanity through circumstances of what my parents were going through from a pretty young age, and that, pretty quickly humanized them for me and humanized people in general, because I was like, what I thought I knew about my parents was something that was different. When they split up, it was like I was completely unaware that was going to be a situation. And so, what you think changes, and then you have, for me, I had a lot of resentment or animosity or whatever that was in me for however many years it took me to grow out of that and recognize, oh shit, like, yes, my parents are humans just like all of us are, just like, we all have the capacity to make mistakes, and we not only the capacity, but we're going to. It's inevitable. And I think it's allowed me to appreciate them even more. Because of the way they've kind of rerouted their lives as a result of those circumstances, and how we've kind of all come back together. And now my relationship with them, it's like I tell people I would be friends with every member of my immediate family if they weren't my immediate family. And that's pretty cool.
Very cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Especially after how many times you spread eagled the trampoline bar out your secondary window.
For sure.
Well, I got to wrap this up, you guys, because I got to get home and be a father. But shout out to all our wonderful folks.
Yeah,
Shout out to
the parents.
Let's have our parents on.
That'd be great.
That'd be
It'd be
cool.
great to dig in deep. I want to talk to your mom about that mac and cheese and tomatoes.
Oh, bro, that's what she can make.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for
Yeah.
checking out the podcast. Have a wonderful week. We love ya. Sweet, dudes. That was fun. I'm getting emotional. Oh, boo-boo, did you just make it to the end of the video? Yes, you did. Do you want to see more videos just like this one? Do you?
Well, then head over to patreon.com/live at the lodge, where you can support the How Goods of this podcast, as well as the entire Live at the Lodge family.
Yep, yeah, you're going to get exclusive merch, personalized shout-out videos. Me and Jules, we're going to show up at your house and baptize your nephew, huh? Check it out, patreon.com/live at the lodge.